This presentation represents the schematic design phase for the Whitehorse Performing Arts Centre. My name is George Hewen. I'm representing the design team in this presentation. Firstly, on behalf of the client and the design team, we'd like to recognise, and Whitehorse City Council also acknowledge the Wurundjeri people as the traditional custodians of the land that we are working on. We pay our respects to their elders past and present. The project at the moment sits within the schematic design phase. We're now commencing design development. So really at this stage of the works, the design is being developed with a view to fleshing out the precinct plan as well as the general arrangement for internal planning for the building and its surrounds, finishes and fixtures and the like. The presentation contains a development of and an evolution of the work carried out during the concept design as part of the earlier design phases. Other works are running concurrently as part of this project, which will be delivered prior to the Performing Arts Centre proper. Broadly, to recap on and build upon the concept design established at the outset of the project, the design team has really sought to invest a precinct-based approach to the project, mindful of the external areas as much as the internal areas for buildings. This project represents a unique opportunity and a unique siting, indeed, in that the building will be perceived in the round. So the design has really sought to investigate how a building can respond to a range of different public interfaces and conditions that are evidenced already on site, be it parkland and the natural parkland setting that currently is really a dominant feature of the existing site, and its significant tree plantings, grassed areas and landscape zones, as well as new precinct and car parking. Broadly, you can see in the centre of this slide, the Performing Arts Centre occupies the centre of the site. The existing amphitheatre you see to the bottom left of that white volume represents the natural amphitheatre currently enjoyed by the existing Performing Arts Centre, and which we're really looking to build upon and consolidate. The predominant car parking provision for the site is to the east, which you can see as the area is demarcated by dark grey, and an open double-storey car park structure, which is the white rectangle you see further right. For reference, north is up the page in this slide. You can see the residential areas further to the north, and we really sought to invest in the precinct design and building design, a sense of a presentation to that responds to the residential neighbourhood. So it's a quieter, more parkland type setting. The eastern car parking area is really concentrated towards Walker Park to provide amenity for Walker Park, as well as the Performing Arts Centre and existing Civic Centre and Library. Key design moves within the precinct have really been to try and invest in each of these key public interfaces, a sense of arrival for different user groups, be it patrons or visitors arriving for performances, or performers themselves, or otherwise casual visitors who may not be entering the building at all. And really, to that end, we've sought to invest in the design a degree of flexibility and accessibility. So really designing a facility that is accessible and open to a range of different users, not just theatre or performers or theatre patrons, but rather other community groups, be it business, conferences, or small-scale local societies, including film and the like. Moving through, the next series of slides really show a series of vignettes or views. This is a view of that main entry arrival precinct. To the left of screen is the natural amphitheatre zone. This is the main entry into the theatre Performing Arts Centre facility. And you can see in this slide provision of landscaped areas sprinkled throughout the public realm zones around the building. So we've sought to invest a lot of these hardscaped areas with a strong landscape character and precinct trees, plantings that provide shade and also enhance the existing amenity of the existing parkland context. This is a view taken from the north, from the neighbourhood park, effectively with Carter Avenue behind us, looking back towards the Performing Arts Centre facility. And you can see to the right of the screen the natural amphitheatre zone and the civic buildings and library beyond, which are demarcated in those white volumes. So really to the north of the site, this is where we've sought to really enhance the existing parkland quality of the existing site and maintain that amenity for general users to enjoy without necessarily needing to access the building at all. Within the building itself, spaces within the north part of the plan are really dressing room and back of house areas. So the quieter, less public uses of the building. This view is taken standing within the natural amphitheatre zone. So to your right would be Walker Park beyond and the precinct car parking. What we're looking at here is that main western facade or southwestern facade, which also includes a new sound shell facility. The building includes a studio theatre, which has the capacity to open up to the outside. There's an outdoor stage area, which provides the ongoing use for outdoor events, including Carols by Candlelight and the Spring Festival and other types of external events that can be carried out without the building necessarily needing to be accessed itself. So providing opportunities for flexibility for the building to be used for outdoor events as much as for internal functions. You can see here a view of the amphitheatre space looking from that sound shell stage area, looking back towards the library and the civic buildings fronting Whitehorse Road. I should note the curved facades here have really been conceived to provide a sense of definition to some of these outdoor spaces without closing them off from other adjacent areas. So providing strong connections between these outdoor areas, but a sense of identity and articulation of these outdoor spaces that is their own and demarcates, in a way, a different type of use for each of these different areas that the building addresses and that are formed by these curved facades. The view here is looking at one of the eastern interfaces. You can see in this view to the left of screen, a dedicated entry for rehearsal studio and other meeting room spaces, which are located on level 1. Also dedicated entry for administrative areas associated with the ongoing operation and function of the Whitehorse Centre on a day-to-day basis. So really sought to curate a range of different addresses for the building that address different users and again, provide that flexibility for different users to access the building as required. The building doesn't rely on the whole facility being open in order to operate. It can operate in a range of different modes, be it everyday mode when it's really staff being in occupation of the building, or otherwise during high activity event modes where you have multiple events being carried out concurrently. This slide shows the open double-storey car park, which in the site plan presented earlier is located along the eastern interface of the site. So in the top left-hand view, you can see to the top right of screen is the Walker Park area, which is demarcated in white. So the open double-storey car park really has been conceived as a fairly low-slung and modest type of structure, really seeking to minimise its impact on the surrounding parkland setting and partially embed that within the precinct. So as to provide good sight lines, but also not dominate the experience of the car park experience. You can see the proposal includes incorporation of trees and landscaped areas within the car park to really mitigate heat island effect and that sense of an expansive bitumen asphalt zone, typically characteristic of large car park areas. Moving on to the plans, broadly the building comprises 3 main levels: lower ground, which you're looking at now, a ground floor, and then an upper floor, which will be seen in the subsequent slides. The lower ground floor is partially buried. It's not a true basement. It is partially has access to the north, to direct access to outside, and comprises plant areas and servicing areas for the building. The area in green, which you see here, is the Orchestra Pit, which is associated with really the heart of the building, the proscenium theatre, which is really represents the premier facility associated with the Performing Arts Centre. Items in red you can see are vertical circulation areas, so lifts and stair areas as well. So what we see here is the ground floor. Broadly, the area in dark green represents the proscenium theatre facility. So again, as I mentioned earlier, represents really the heart of the project, but also augmented by a whole range of other facilities which will be included within the building. The area in the khaki green to the top left of vision here is the studio theatre, which is a 200-seat facility, which forms part of that external sound shell slash open stage area, which addresses the amphitheater space, which is where broadly located in the existing area of the existing sound shell enjoyed by the Whitehorse Centre itself. Areas to the north comprise dressing room spaces and service areas that support the main theatre functions, but also a range of other areas which will also facilitate different types of use. So the areas in pink represent the food and beverage offering as part of the facility. So along the backside of the proscenium theatre, upon arrival, which you'll see shortly in some of the subsequent slides, you're presented and greeted by the main bar and box office front of house facilities. The area attached to the Khaki Studio Theatre, item 17, is a warming kitchen, which also provides an opportunity to have different types of catered events, either in the studio theatre, which I should note has flexible retractable seating, so that space is able to be fully opened up for different types of function, be it theatre, dance, or other types of conference, meeting, party, or other type of event type of use. Along the eastern facade of the building, you can see the areas in light cream. Here are the main administrative functions of the building, and toilet facilities to the south, broadly located near to the main entry into the building, which you can see we have split the toilet facilities but on either side of the proscenium theatre to really maximise the functionality of those spaces when the building is in full event mode, and managing crowds so that we're not creating bottlenecks for crowds to be channeled into a single point. There's a distribution of toilets which has been really determined through balancing the idea that different theatres may be functioning at the same time, which will necessarily be managed through ongoing operations. But in the event that the centre is at full capacity, those toilet facilities have been conceived to really provide maximum access. The toilet facilities you see to the bottom right of screen, which is in this area 8, 9, and 34, near to the orange stair area you see in that southeastern corner of the building, include changing places facility, fully accessible toilets, non-gendered toilets, traditionally gendered toilets, and also a family room or a parents room. Areas to the northeast of this plan, in light grey, you can see the main loading dock facility, which provides the capacity for 2 trucks to be able to provide bump in, bump out, and concurrently, which also includes provision for amenities associated with ongoing supplies for some of the other functions associated with the centre. The area in light green you saw in the previous slide represent the main foyer area. On level 1, the areas you see here in yellow to the south of the building comprise the main function room areas, which are associated with some of the commercial operations of the building. These have been conceived as a space that can be opened up as a singular large area for banquets or weddings and the like, or equally could be divided up through operable partitions, which provide a series of smaller spaces which could be used for conference type modes or smaller type meeting facilities. The areas in pink comprise commercial kitchen and bar and some of the service facilities associated with the function areas. Areas in red and dark green are really vertical transportation and other servicing areas associated with the proscenium theatre functions. So on this level, really, the functioning or functional areas of the building are limited to facilities associated with functions and other types of meeting room spaces. The areas you see in orange, demarcated with the number 13, comprise rehearsal rooms, which can also be flexibly used for meeting spaces. So in principle, the whole of this upper level floor area could be leased out for conferences and the like, or equally operated in more discrete modes so that smaller groups have the ability to rent or lease spaces within the facility and enjoy the amenity of the building. Moving into the building, so this is a view taken as you enter into the main front door of the building. You see what you're presented with is a lift to your right, which provides access to those upper floor function areas. Alternatively, a grand staircase, which leads you up into those function room areas, and you get a sense of those spaces beyond on the upper floor as you immediately arrive into this airlock facility. And or equally the choice to go into the main foyer of the theatre areas proper. I should say, as part of the project, the design team has been seeking to incorporate the existing stained glass window, which was provided as part of the original Whitehorse Performing Arts Centre facility, and integrate that into the arrival experience for visitors. This view is taken as you enter into the main foyer, so you see the rear of that proscenium theatre volume with the back of, the front of house bar and box office areas. To the left of screen here, you can see the access and views to the natural amphitheatre zone. So really throughout the planning of the building, we've really sought to provide a very strong connection between inside and outside for all of the areas within the building, including some of the back of house areas, which often are characterized by very dark and dingy spaces. We really sought to provide access to natural daylight and, where appropriate, a really great outlook onto the outdoor areas. So provide a sense of connection between the life of the building within and the activities surrounding within the broader context. This is a view taken looking back from that main foyer area back to the main southern arrival entry plaza area. So to right of screen is the amphitheater spaces. Beyond, in the views beyond, looking straight ahead, would be the library and existing Whitehorse Centre civic buildings. To your left is the main entry area. So these spaces provide the opportunity for spill out zones and the like during events, be it conferences or theatre type facilities. Equally, spaces for people just to enjoy the outdoors without necessarily even having to enter the building. And the same goes for event modes. The building has the capacity to operate in full external event mode and provide access to people as required, but equally it provides the opportunity for secure operation of the building so that different crowds can be managed. This is a view of the proscenium theatre taken from the theatre seating proper to the rear of the proscenium. And really the geometry of this internal space is really, we've sought to embed the same design logic as was driving the external facades. So the scooped, scalloped geometry of those facades, creating a sense of intimacy and enclosure. I think one thing we've really sought to work hard to invest these spaces in is with a sense of intimacy and warmth, and and a tactile quality to the materials and finishes. We recognise one of the great strengths of the existing Performing Arts Centre is its intimacy, and that's something that certainly patrons and visitors have enjoyed for a long time now. A view from the stage looking back towards the proscenium theatre seating, and you can see here a split in the type of seating provided. To the front of house, we've provided continental seating, which it comprises a more intimate experience for performers and for visitors, in that there are no central aisles, with just access to these rows of seating provided by the side aisles, while to the rear seating banks, we've provided side aisles and central aisles, which provide a different level of amenity for different user types who may have certain preferences. So to really achieve a balance between different theatre goers and their expectations for seating arrangement. You can see here again the use of timbers and warm tones, really seeking to invest a sense of warmth and intimacy in this space. This is the studio theatre. So to right of screen would be that doorway that opens up to form part of the external sound shell area addressing the amphitheatre, but otherwise in everyday mode has a capacity for different types of theatrical performance. And this has really been conceived as a more contemporary type of facility to the proscenium theatre, a more accessible entry point for different types of performance to be able to be carried out with a 200 seat capacity. And as mentioned earlier, this seating has the capacity to be fully retracted back into a bank, a storage bank towards the rear of the space, so that the space can be used for other types of event. This is a view taken as you enter into the main entry airlock for the building and arrive up to the top of the stair, a pre-function lobby area, which is the immediate experience as you come to the top of that stair if you're arriving for a function or a conference or the like, and into this space that is an intermediate space. So you have a choice at the top of the stair to enter into the function rooms, which are to your left, or equally towards the cloakroom, which you see is the main sort of presentation upon arrival, or alternatively, there are other spaces accessible off screen to the right. This is a bit more clearly shown in these views here. So the view to the top left again is taken from the top of the stair with the function spaces to the left, and using glazing and glazed areas to provide really good visibility between those spaces, but there will be the opportunity to screen those off. The view to the top right is looking as you arrive into the top of that stair with the function rooms to the right of that view, looking back towards the main entry, and you get a sense there of the double height volume as you enter into this main airlock entry arrival. The two views to the bottom of this screen represent one of the meeting rooms, which is at the top of that stair, which houses that stained glass that is being retained from the original Performing Arts Centre facility and being reused in the new design. The spaces in this view comprise the main function room areas, which are on the level one. Again, we are at upstairs in this view. So on the top left, you can see views looking as you arrive into the main door from the pre-function foyer area into the main function zone, looking towards the amphitheater space in this top left view. In the top right-hand view, you're looking back from the main kitchen or service zone areas back towards the main entry and airlock area, which is to the left of that top right-hand view, and back out towards the Civic Centre buildings and amphitheatre to the right. Again, the intention in these spaces is really a space that has a sense of intimacy and tactility, but clarity that can be used for, say, a conference or a wedding or other type of similar event in a fully open mode, or equally can be partitioned off and used in a range of other modes, which you can see in the bottom two images here, some of those internal operable partitions in effect, creating a series of smaller spaces. And really in the curation and creation of these spaces really sought to provide, again, access to outdoor amenity and fresh air and daylight, the enjoyment of the outdoor spaces from that function area and those smaller discrete function area spaces when it is in a partitioned off mode. The images in this view represent the main rehearsal room spaces, which are demarcated on the plan in the orange areas. So to be enjoyed by existing clients of the Whitehorse Centre facility, comprising ballet school students and ballet dance. And these facilities will provide the opportunity for assessment type spaces for rehearsal and assessment of ballet uses, as well as the opportunity of other potential uses such as conferences or meeting room spaces through consideration of materials, curtains and screening and audio-visual provision that provides the opportunity for these spaces to be transformed and used by different user groups. And that brings me to the end of this presentation.